Hello and welcome to Box, the football talk show brought to you by Sportology TV with myself, Ali Drew. On the first episode this week, I was joined by Jamie from Leicester Fan TV. If you haven't already, make sure you check that out. It's a good episode. But now the guest who is joining me next, he runs his own Leeds United YouTube channel. We are delighted to be joined by Kagey. Kagey, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Ali, I'm good. How are you doing there?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. How have you been and how's sort of work going at the moment in the current conditions that we're in?
Yeah, I've been good. I think the latest lockdown was probably the hardest one. I think it was taking a toll on everyone from what I could see. You know, some days the days were just blurring into one another, but you know what, we get on with it and things have opened up today. So it's gyms are back where I am anyway. So that will be a big mental boost for myself.
Yeah, slowly getting back to normal. It's
Yeah,
we're getting there. We're getting there. Just talk to me about how you got into the sort of YouTube scene in the first place. You know, what sort of led you to setting up your own channel and what the sort of process for you was.
yeah. For a couple of years, I've been guesting on other people's podcasts, other people's YouTube channels, and it just never occurred to me to set my own thing up, just to have my own thing, something that I'm in charge of, something that I'm responsible for. I don't know why it never occurred to me until I had a conversation with somebody that runs a YouTube channel himself. And he said, "Why haven't you got your own channel?" And I said, "I don't know." And it seems so obvious that if you're talking about football a lot, you should have your own thing, but it just never occurred to me. So after a while, I set my own thing up and I've just built it up from there myself. I was going to go in with somebody else, but I decided that I wanted to do it myself, be responsible for when the content goes out without having to rely on anybody else. So, and it's something that I wanted to do because for me, there's not a lot of variation in the Leeds United um, community space. It's very samey. There's a lot of people that look and sound the same. I thought it would be good for somebody like me to come forward and use my knowledge of football in general, not just Leeds United, and do my own thing.
Yeah, it's going well. Have you found, especially I suppose the last year, it's been good because I guess most of the stuff you're doing is just online on a computer. So has that been good, or have you sort of missed out on some of the things that being able to go to games, for example?
Yeah, I mean, my channel is very, very new. I think my first video upload was the Aston Villa nil Leeds United free game. So that was a few months ago. So all my thing has been building up during lockdown. But yeah, I think it's restricted in that way that you can't go meet face to face with somebody and have a conversation like that. You know, let the banter flow that way face to face. But I think it's been a good way of building it up during the lockdown because there's not been much for people to watch. People want to get their content from different places, and YouTube's been a great space for that, especially in the football game.
Yeah, it's been a sort of an eye opener for people because you wouldn't have thought necessarily. A lot of people wouldn't have known how to do Zooms or anything like that. I didn't even know what Zoom was before the lockdown last year, so it's just amazing. It is amazing. It's opened my eyes up. Like technology that is amazing that we've got it for this pandemic.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, just yesterday, I mean, in the YouTube space as well, it's all about improving every time, and I'm pouring a fair bit of money into it, not getting anything back out yet, but I do it because I love to do it as well. I talk about football a lot anyway, so why not just go on camera and do it, and hopefully make a career out of it.
Well, let's talk football. So we're going to talk about Leeds United. Obviously, it's a great time to have you on the show. Obviously, they beat Man City this weekend. Just talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've watched that Stuart Dallas winning goal. It must be at least 100 times. I've just put it on replay and just kept watching it over and over again because, as when we was discussing me coming on, I was like, oh my God, that's going to be a couple of days after the Man City game. This could be a very, very weird time. But we've done this a few times this season where they've just surprised me. I'm a very realistic Leeds United fan. I'm not over the top. That's another thing as well about my channel. It's not tribalism. It's not Leeds United versus the world. I love talking about football, about all clubs and stuff. So for me, I was going on predicting that we might not do so well against Man City, but that's only natural. They're Manchester City. They're doing great. They're playing the best football in the country. So it was realistic for me to think that we were going to lose. And then when we go down to 10 men, I thought, oh no, please just hold out. I was watching the clock on the game. It was going so slow. And you know what? Just full credit to the whole team. That's what we're about. That's what Leeds United's about. Just battening. We batten down the hatches where people say that we're too open, and we come through with the win. It was just an amazing result.
Yeah, because as you say, down to 10 men against Man City, who have pretty much won the league already. It does seem that Leeds do these surprising sort of results. They've had a great season for the first season back in the Premier League. It's been great, but they do have these incredible performances. No one would have said that they would beat Man City with 10 men.
Yeah. Well, this is when we was doing previews before the season started and when I was on other channels, I said that we'd finish around 10th. And currently, as we're doing this, we are in 10th place, because I knew that we was going to beat a lot of the bottom half of the teams just from our style of play. Because you look around the league, there's a few teams that don't have an identity, they don't have a style of play. They're just happy to be there in the Premier League. I know that the club that we are, we're just going to be a little bit more ambitious with that, which is why we got a Marcelo Bielsa. Hopefully he stays for another 10 years, as long as he's alive. I don't care. Stay forever, Marcelo. But I knew that we'd do this, but we haven't until the Leicester result where we beat them 3-1 away. And then this one, we haven't really done that well against the top teams in terms of results. We did well in that first game against Liverpool, 4-3 loss, but we lost it. But I knew that we could do this. I knew that the way that we play, we would open a few teams up and they wouldn't be able to handle our press. And it has come to that this season. I think the only one that surprised me in terms of being disappointed with the result was Crystal Palace losing their 4-1, because Crystal Palace never scored 4 goals. And we just happened to give them that gift that day. So, yeah, I know some people are surprised. I'm not. The result against Manchester City was a surprise, I'm not going to lie. But I know that we're good enough to finish in the top half of this league.
Yeah, and you mentioned Bielsa there. Do you think he is, you obviously like him, you want him to stay, but do you just think he's the sort of perfect manager for Leeds right now?
It's been that way since the start. When you look at the scrutiny that Marcelo Bielsa's had throughout his career, where people say, oh, he's this and that, but he hasn't really won anything, which is not true. Same with Leeds, especially when we was down in the Championship in League One, away for 16 years out of the Prem. Oh, they think they're a big club, but what have they done lately? And it's understandable. I get that. So it was just like a perfect marriage where two souls that are fighting against the world have come together and have just made it work. I mean, it's hard to put into words what Marcelo Bielsa has done to transform this club inside and out. Because before he arrived, we was just a floating middling Championship club going absolutely nowhere. And a lot of these players are still here. And that just shows the coaching skills and method that this man has got to get some of these players playing to the level. Stuart Dallas is one. We were talking about the Man City game, got 2 goals there. Stuart Dallas was just another player on our books when Marcelo arrived. He wasn't even a starter. And now he's one of the players that you just couldn't imagine not in the Leeds United team.
And what other players have sort of really impressed you this season, really sort of been standout?
Yeah, I mean, first one that comes straight out of mind is Raphinha. Just amazing player. It's really funny because most of my match reviews, I've always got to mention him because he does something mentionable. So you can't ignore that. And especially when you consider his price, which is 17 million. In this day and age, that is just a bargain for what he's brought to the team. Our goalkeeper, young 21-year-old Ilan Meslier, 5 million. Again, he's broken that youngest clean sheet record from Joe Hart that he held years ago. He's done very well. Luke Ayling has done well. Obviously, Stuart Dallas, Calvin Phillips, when he's been fit, has fitted in like a glove, just like I predicted he would. I knew that he would do well, and he's made himself an England regular now. So there's a lot of good performers. Obviously, Patrick Bamford. I'll give a big shout to Patrick Bamford whenever I'm on the platform because I didn't think he was going to do this well this season. Full disclosure, because in the Championship he'd missing a lot of easy chances, but the Premier League just suits the way that he plays so much more. And credit to him, he's doing the business for us this season. So there's just a lot. There's a lot of really good performances, and our Spanish international Llorente, who's now fit, he's looking like the centre back that is just our number one guy at the back end of the back too.
And you obviously said, that you were looking for sort of top half of the table. That's unusual for a team when they first come up to the Premier League. But Do you think that you've not got long of the season left? Do you think that you're confident that Leeds will finish in the top half?
We've got a great chance. I think we've got 8 or 7 games left. It's one of the two, and we're 10th right now. So I don't think it's impossible. I think, and I know what you just said there, and that's what a lot of people were saying to me before. They thought I was just taking the Premier League for a joke. But when I consider teams like Brighton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, these teams that are just happy to be in the league, we're not going to be one of those teams. Our owner's already said that he's planning for next season and he's going to get the next batch of players in to improve the team and push for Europe. That's what we're looking to do. And that's why I thought we could finish 10th. I think I said maybe 11th at a push, but I think we're on track to finish 10th. Maybe higher if teams above us keep on messing up the way they have been.
Yeah, it's been a crazy season. Like teams have had amazing form, then terrible form. Like it's just so up and down. And I suppose it is the best season if you're a new team in the Premier League to actually break into those sort of areas where normally it's like set at the top. You know, they may change between themselves, but it's normally set. But this season, it has sort of been opened up.
Yeah, and it's right. I mean, we're talking about Marcelo Bielsa style of play as well. It's also about getting in the next batch of players, not batch, but just like 4 or 5, just to freshen the squad up and improve the squad quality. Because there will be that second season where people will have gotten to grips with us a little bit more. And it's up to us just to change the script a little and improve the players and make sure that we can maintain where we're going. We're not going to be in a Sheffield United situation. Recruitment has just said that straight away with our signings this season. We're not recruiting the way that Sheffield United did. So yeah, I'm confident about where we're going in the short term at Leeds United, definitely.
And to push to play in Europe next year, what players or what positions do you want to see brought in and improved and changed? What do you think needs to be changed?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need a specialist left back. We definitely need that. We can't go with Alioski. I think he's leaving in the summer anyway. We need a central midfielder because sometimes our midfield has just been so easy to go through because we don't have a lot of central midfield help in that way. Especially when Calvin Phillips is out, it's been very it's been very bad. So, and we also need a backup striker for Patrick Bamford or someone to compete with him because, again, you don't know if he's going to do this next season. I hope so. I hope he does this all again next season. But on the chance that he doesn't, you need somebody else to come in. So I think those are areas that we definitely need some strengthening in.
And Leeds' next game is against Liverpool, which you would normally, if you're based it on last season, you know, they're defending champions, you would think tough game. But it's not as tough because Liverpool are not having a good season at all. So just talk to me about that. And I suppose it's a totally different mindset that the teams are going into this game. So Leeds will be very confident, having beaten Man City. Liverpool will not have the confidence, which is not what you would expect.
Well, it's all dependent on what they do in the Champions League, isn't it? So if they get a bad result, and hopefully their heads are down a bit, and we can get at them a bit more. It's all dependent on what happens in the Champions League. Because if they go through, then they're going to be on a massive high, and they'll come in with their chest a bit more puffed out. But even at this point, I would say that we've got a good chance of winning the game, which I know it sounds crazy. It sounds nuts, doesn't it? But I do think we've got a good chance. When I saw that the next 3 games we've got, which was at the time Man City, Liverpool, and Manchester United, I thought that Liverpool one is looking the one where we could probably win. So we've already won the Man City one. Let's just keep that momentum going and push Liverpool because, as you've seen this season, they have been easy to get at this season. Burnley, Brighton, there's been all kinds of teams that have beaten them. Why can't we do it? I think we can.
It's going to be exciting. And what have you made of this season as a whole? It's been crazy. Obviously, there's been no fans, but it has been a bit of a, as we've said, up and down. So what have you enjoyed this season?
I mean, personally, I have. I think when the last international break came up, I was kind of glad because I was kind of getting burnt out a bit with all the club football that time. Because, with all the games being on TV, you kind of watch, you sort of like watching every game. I mean, I watch a lot of football anyway, but when they're so accessible now, it's like one after the other. And I was kind of like getting burnt out. I was, oh gosh, I was very happy for the international break, but I think on the whole, it's been an interesting season. I think with the storylines that are there, you're talking Liverpool's title defense not being very good. You're talking Man City's renaissance, because when we played them at the start of the season, this wasn't the same Man City team that we drew against. They were in a different space then. They were trying to realign their philosophy going forward, which was build from the back, not being so much on the front foot. There's also the Sheffield United storyline of just being just so terrible that it's been unbelievable how bad they've been. Yeah, I think there's all kinds of good storylines in there. Whether the football's been the best, I don't know. But I think as Leeds United fans, we can't complain with the quality of football that we've seen this season.
And I suppose at the start of the season, it was sort of towards the end of last season as well, but with no fans. One of the teams, I suppose, you would look at before seeing what's happened in the season, you would maybe look to Leeds and think they might struggle without their fans because they've got such a huge fan base. You'd actually think they'd be one of the teams that is negatively affected by that, but it doesn't seem to have had that effect on them at all.
Yeah, I think sometimes it works for you. I would the main mandate from players is that they all miss the fans, right? They all say that we miss the fans. Oh, we're nothing without the fans. But I guarantee there's a few players that are playing that are really happy about the way that the situation is, because there is no fans. If you've ever been to Leeds, we're a very demanding bunch. So if things aren't going the way that we think it should, they'll be like, hurry up, get the ball forward, or what you doing? There's all kinds of chatting going on. I think a few have been glad that there's been no fans there. They'll never say it publicly because you just can't. Can you, as a footballer, you can't say, I'm glad these guys
They
aren't
get
here.
booed every time they touch the ball.
Yeah. So, but I do think that there's a lot to be said about there being no fans there. I think that it's benefited quite a few players.
But I guess as a football fan as well, you're looking forward to when fans can return. Hopefully, towards the end of the season, they're saying the last 2 games of each team are going to have the fans there. Although it won't be a full stadium,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, myself personally, I'm going to wait until it's a bit more open and back to normal. I think I don't want to go when there's just 10,000 fans. I've already done that when we was down in League One. It's not that much fun. So I'd rather go when it's just a bit more normal. Everyone else has had their second jab, and we can all just try and just be a bit more back to normal. I think people really took it for granted before. I think we all did. Just the little simple things that you could do. I think people are going to appreciate it a lot more when we can go back.
Yeah, and you want to be able to relax while you're there and not think, right, I can't get too close to this, can't touch this. You just want to be able to enjoy the whole thing, don't you?
Well, that's it. I mean, I'm not a big huggy kind of guy, but when we've scored, I've hugged a stranger in front of me. So, it takes you, when the ball goes in, you just go mad and you're hugging everyone, high-fiving, and that's a big part of it being a supporter. I think just for the camaraderie with your fellow supporters, I think it's a big part of the day.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be great when that returns. It'll be weird though. Giving a hug to a family member will be weird, let alone a stranger. It will be bizarre.
It will be you'll high five somebody, then in your pocket you'll just be getting that hand gel out, just like this.
So true. Well, Kagey, before we finish, we ask all the guests who come on the show, but who do you think is the greatest player that you've ever seen play live?
Oh,
it's a difficult one.
You see, that's so unfair for me, and I tell you why. Because I wasn't old enough to see Harry Kewell play. When I saw him play on TV, he was my favorite. And now we've got Raphinha, and we haven't been able to see him live. This is really unfair.
Yeah, that's tough. Actually, that is tough.
Okay, I'll Jermaine Beckford. I'll go with Jermaine Beckford because you just knew whenever we were playing in those times, he's going to score a goal. So I'll go with Jermaine Beckford.
That's a good choice. Kagey, thank you so much for your time. It's been great talking to you. Looking forward to seeing the rest of the season, see what Leeds can do, and we'll get you back on the show soon.
Thank you for having me, Ali. It's been a pleasure.
Great to have Kagey on the show there. But guys, stay tuned because we have lots more lined up. Please continue to support the channel. subscribe, like, share, leave some comments, whatever you can. We do really appreciate it. And we will see you next time.